welcome to this week's version of Take 5. What is it?
What's up? It's just like the worst way to start this thing.
Hey everybody, welcome.
You
You gonna let me do it, or are you gonna sit there and mock me?
How about him?
Both of you. Why do I bring you around still? Hey everybody, welcome to Take 5 the podcast. This week we've got a lot of different things to talk about, a lot of TV stuff, some movie trailers, all different sort of things. As always, to my left is Taryn, the cameraman, Sherwood.
Yo.
Next to him, Corey Williamson.
There's not a
who
camera.
is attempting to
Did
open
you call
his...
me Williamson?
Williamson?
You...
Corey Williams.
Yeah,
Did I say Corey Williams?
You said Corey Williamson.
You two got me off. Anyway, I'm blaming you from now on. Corey Williams next to Taryn.
There was a Dragon Ball Z style fusion dance that went on behind the
they
scenes.
danced and it happened.
All of my weight with Corey's good looks.
Yes. My brother Isaac.
Hello.
And Tommy Williamson.
Oh, hi Nick.
Hi, Tommy.
Ooh. Isaac got a haircut.
He did. Isaac has a haircut now.
I'm beautiful.
He resembles Dave Franco even more now.
I've been told Chris Pratt in a way, just in the face.
Without all the muscles.
Hey,
So anyway, let's get things started. We'll start as we always do with our box office roundup. So this weekend, American Sniper, after a month at the top of the box office, was finally dethroned by none other than everyone's favorite crustacean.
Crustacean?
Crustacean.
Wait,
Chris, your mouth.
Crustacean?
He's not a crustacean.
As the better says,
A sponge.
SpongeBob.
Everyone's favorite
No,
Bikini
Mr. Krabs
Bottom.
is a crustacean.
Is he coral?
dweller.
A sponge
What
is
is-
a fungus, I think.
A fun guy.
No.
He's a fun
Or
guy.
something. I
What
don't know.
is SpongeBob?
Guys, you're overthinking it. He's a sponge. Like a sponge is an actual
SpongeBob
thing.
SquarePants, Sponge Out of Water, has beat American Sniper, making $56 million this weekend.
Considering this is America, that does make sense in some way.
In a way.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not surprising at all. I mean, it's a kid's movie, and guess what? Every single child in the United States is saying, Mom, Dad, take me to see this movie. They're not saying, Mom, Dad, I want to see this guy kill 200 people with a gun.
That's a good point.
If your kid is saying that, I would suggest getting some psychiatric
You're
help
raising
for your
that
child.
kid right.
Anyway,
Badass kid.
American Sniper bowed out at second with 24.2, which gives it $282 million at this point. And then our lovely creators of The Matrix, their movie Jupiter Ascending, which got pushed back from last June and July, came out this weekend. It only made, let's see here, what was the number? About $19 million. So,
Only $19 million.
So,
Boo, 19 million? What are we going to do with that?
Well, how much did it cost to make it? It looked high budget.
it looks like it cost it like, look at those numbers, $175 million.
Flop.
Flop.
Yeah.
That is a flop.
But it has Channing Tatum.
Leave
so.
Johnny Depp alone.
Anything after the second Matrix movie has been a flop for the Wachowskis. So.
Yeah.
What about Speed Racer?
That was a flop.
It was a flop, but it was still a good film.
It was a fever dream of a film. But anyway, and then to round it out, Seventh Son took the fourth spot, the Jeff Bridges, Ben Barnes movie.
I wanted to see that.
I like Ben Barnes. He's just not catching any sort of a break.
He's kind of in that. He's trying to get a push. Hollywood's really trying to push him with all these different movies.
He is. He's got
He's
the
in that
look.
same category as all those other types of guys like that. With the guy that played John Carter and was Gambit and
Oh
yeah, that
gosh.
guy.
that guy.
Yeah.
We even call him that guy. We've like blocked his.
Yeah, exactly. It's like that guy.
Well, I really liked John Carter.
Yeah.
I mean, I enjoyed it.
Right.
I thought he did well. And
Yeah, Nick always talks about how John Carter was a great movie.
I get no
Sort of
respect.
like how you talk about how Pirates 4 is a good movie.
Pirates 4 is a fantastic movie.
I have to side
You know
with
why
Corey.
there's not a John Carter 4?
I love the pirate movies.
Because it sucked.
John Carter was great, Corey.
So anyway,
This podcast is falling apart.
it's falling apart. I'm going to put it back together.
5 episodes in and we're
Speaking
done.
of speaking of Channing Tatum movies, a second ago, Magic Mike, the sequel, or
Double XL.
Double
Show some
XL.
respect.
I refuse, but
It's such a
Now,
dumb
are they
name.
hold on? Are they planning a third one, or did they just miss out on the triple XL?
This-
And you win like innuendo.
That's reserved for the adult industry.
That's stripping. Is that not the adult industry?
Yeah, there is already a Magic Mike XXX porn parody in the works. I guarantee it.
Oh, wow.
Well, I was just wondering if they were holding off on the XXX innuendo for the third one, or
Probably.
if someone just missed that up.
Well,
They
no, I
have
just
to wear
think-
bigger T-shirts.
Yeah, it's just a
I don't get it.
dumb name for the sequel. Because,
Yeah.
I mean, it's not Magic Mike XL. That's not the name of the first one. So why is it XXL? I mean,
I don't know.
that's stupid. Like, why not just say, it's Magic Mike 2 or
Is
Magic
Channing
Mike?
Tatum going to put on like a bunch of weight?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
He actually looks lean in the trailer.
Yeah, we watched
He
the
looked
trailer
good.
a second ago. Corey watched most of it. I watched a little bit at the end, but it seemed like it was mostly dancing.
That dude can freaking dance.
He can.
I'm just saying that.
He was-
Channing Tatum is...
Well, fun fact: he was actually a stripper at one point in his life.
No, so he's method
so,
acting.
Yes,
this. All right.
it's kind of a biography for him.
Oh,
So
man, I wish I could dance that well.
So, in the third Magic Mike movie, are we going to see his character take on a role in a movie series based off of a TV show?
Possibly.
with Jonah Hill,
Yeah, with Jonah Hill.
played by Daniel Day-Lewis.
Yes,
Okay.
that's what's going on. Okay.
Anyways, yeah, the trailer was all dancing, but it was
Okay.
excellent dancing. If you want to check
excellent
that out.
dancing.
If you're
So,
into dancing, that's your movie.
And Kevin Nash is in it, so
all the wrestling fans.
ex-NWO member.
Oh, shit! I've got a cough drop in my pocket.
Now it's a party.
Well, I'm sorry. It's just, that makes me happy.
Other trailer news: there was the Poltergeist new reboot.
It's a
Reboot.
reboot. It's a reboot.
Okay,
We were 1 week off and including it in last week's
Right,
episode.
what? So everyone's pretty much collectively like, no, thank you. I'll take it something else.
Well, it's like I like Sam Rockwell, but that's
Right, yeah.
really that's the only thing that this.
I think that's it. They're like, we're good. We're going to remake Poltergeist. What if we have Sam Rockwell? I might go watch it. Right?
No, it's like the beauty of the original Poltergeist film was, like Corey said earlier, it was a slow burn, and like it was like released in the late 70s.
Yeah, it's no. Poltergeist is 80s.
Yeah, it was at 80s.
Yeah,
okay, but I mean,
it's Craig T. Nelson in his prime.
yeah, I mean, you can't make a movie
Was this
like
pre-Coach?
that.
It's probably around the time of Coach.
Okay.
No, we are not talking about Coach.
That should have been a movie.
It's just you can't make a movie like the original Poltergeist these days because audiences.
No, there's a lot of magic in it. It's
Yeah.
it's almost like remaking Point Break, and we've all talked about Point Break and that horrible remake and why it happens because Poltergeist fits well
in the era.
in the 80s.
Yeah.
The old TVs and it's what makes it creepy.
All of the practical effects. That
Yeah.
they use. It's like they're going to rely too heavily on special effects in
And
this one.
if I'm not going to spoil it, and if you don't want the whole cool ending of the movie to be spoiled, don't watch the trailer because they just totally straight up say it in the trailer, like what's supposed to be the cool ending. But yeah, I don't like that. I don't like that they spoil what was the twist in the first one, like right away.
Yeah.
Well, going back to like just the setting of the 80s made the movie feel so much more, I guess, realistic or believable. Well, it's like in the new trailer, like the mom is like on her iPhone on the couch, and it starts like showing the static. Like, no iPhone's ever gonna do that.
I was like, I don't think that's how iPhones work.
No,
I don't think
it's
there's
not.
like,
No.
I don't think I don't think it has an antenna like or whatever. I don't think there's any sort of feed that's gonna.
Well, it's kind of like the Thing from the 80s.
Oh, that's such a great movie. If
And
you
they-
never watched The Thing, go watch The Thing.
It's
You can
amazing.
never get that first watch back, so
Yeah.
just really enjoy it.
It's one of my favorite horror movies of all time.
And the reason it works so well is because of all the practical effects. It is a gem of the 80s.
They still hold up.
And they remade it. I know Isaac has
Well,
a
no,
poster
it wasn't a
of this.
remake.
I have a
It
poster.
It was a prequel?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was it ended up being a prequel,
Yeah.
which once it kind of like got into the prequel, I loved it.
Yeah.
I was all for it.
Okay.
I liked The Thing.
I
Prequel.
still haven't seen it.
Would
Sorry.
you be more
I have it. I
interested
can let you
in
watch it.
this Poltergeist if it wasn't them saying, we're just going to start over, or a separate
Yeah.
event or
Yeah,
something?
I mean, I don't. I know that a lot of horror movie franchises degrade over time, like
Right.
more sequels that they get. But
Jason. Anyway.
yeah, any time there is a sequel, I'm always all for it. Like, yeah, sure, why not? Let's do this again. And so, like, yeah, Poltergeist 9 or whatever this would be.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I'd be okay with it.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, I think I'm disappointed because marketing-wise, this should have been a teaser, and it should have literally been a girl touching a TV, turning around and saying, "They're here."
Right.
And then we're all like on board right away.
Yeah.
But we got out the gate. It was a 2.5 minute trailer of like
everything.
it was almost an action movie.
It's like
it was
like we talked about. Like they show
it
us
was just
too
everything,
much.
yeah.
And it's like, and you have to understand, like we talked about last week, the difference between showing a little bit and showing too much.
Yeah, and I think that's what I didn't like. I don't think that it just showed too much of the movie, and I'm already like I can already tell they didn't capture the magic of that first.
Not to just to add to the conversation. The director, their credits so far are The Lark, Monster House,
Monster House was a delightful film.
and
It was okay.
City of Ember.
I remember
heard
that.
of-
I read the book.
Sounds familiar.
It was a
Sounds
cool
familiar.
book.
I don't know what is the Lark. Should we
it's
watch
a-
the Lark?
The Lark. It doesn't have any information on the Lark. It's,
Oh, so the Lark doesn't even have its own Wikipedia
nope,
link.
Nope, nothing. No
That's bad.
information, Yeah.
It's very bad.
We're gonna look that up on the internet later, though. If someone's watched the Lark and they're
Tusk
listening,
has more legitimacy than the Lark does.
just tell us what it's about. So
Turns out to be like
Your
the best.
your move, Hamilton 7776.
Leo sucks.
It turns out Leonardo DiCaprio was in The Lark. He plays The Lark.
What is the? We need to find out what that is.
Okay. Anyways,
But so we're gonna go over to other news, television.
Can I say something?
No.
no.
It is not a racist comment. It's
Okay.
about,
All right.
trailers when
I'll-
they show too much.
Nick, I'll just
Okay.
edit this out.
Okay.
And that, no, it's just sometimes trailers show too much, like you said, and you get too much of the movie, and then you go to watch the movie, and sometimes they spoil themselves in a way.
Yeah.
Right.
That
Like-
is literally what we just said, Isaac.
Yeah, but
You're
not
not
exactly.
adding anything.
Well, we technically said this like 2 episodes ago, talking about A Million Ways to Die in the
And then
West.
fine. Just continue.
Yes,
whatever.
we agree. Yes,
Yes.
Whatever.
Wait, I found the
I
Lark.
concur.
What's his name? The director's name?
The director's name is. Hang on, wait for it. Gil Keenan.
Okay, then I found a different The
Okay.
Lark movie.
So there's a whole.
There's multiple The Larks.
There's multiple Larks.
I guess there's a 1964 The Lark.
What's it about?
Does this guy just do remakes?
Maybe.
Is this new Lark a remake of the original Lark?
So anyway, let's move over into, because today we're talking a little bit about TV, and Tommy has informed us that they are making, TNT is coming up with a Teen Titans live action series.
Yes, and this is a terrible, terrible mistake
Okay.
on everyone's part.
TNT hasn't done anything good since Nitro went
That's
off
true.
the air.
Monday Night Nitro. So, but go ahead and
Well, I mean, it's just like the Teen Titans are the super group of various superpowered teenage kids in the DC
Like
universe.
sidekicks and
Yeah,
and
well-
B team players.
Yeah, well, especially Cyborg. He is most certainly B team. But yeah, it is like sidekicks. It is just young heroes in general.
Yeah.
My biggest issue is just like the information that they've given out, which isn't a whole lot, is the cast of characters they're going to be using.
yeah, it's looking very different than even the comic. I don't know, but the cartoon that came on Cartoon Network.
Yeah.
Oh, there is a cartoon for that in there. I
Yeah.
think I've seen episodes of
Yeah,
that.
the original like Teen Titans cartoon that was on like 2005
Yeah,
Yeah,
or so
there.
that was
great.
fantastic.
It was
Pretty
great.
good.
But the
Does
new
it look
one,
like the Powerpuff Girls? Because that's the one I've
No.
seen.
No, that's the new
That-
Teen Titans Go.
and
which
it's
is
horrible.
Yeah,
Don't waste
it's a
your
lot
time
of
with that.
random humor. A lot of
Okay.
It just completely like shits all over all of the goodness that was the other.
Which kind of
That's
makes me
the
upset
best way
because
to
it's the
describe
exact same voice actors,
Yeah, all
do
the
the
same
exact
voice.
same characters, just a completely different
But it's more
style.
like
It's
Maybe
kind of like
for
when they
kids.
revamped Batman the Animated Series at the end.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha.
Um,
So yeah, tell us all who all's the casting
well,
of the
of course,
characters.
it wouldn't be the Teen Titans without having Robin.
Right.
yeah, he's the leader.
They are using Dick Grayson, which makes me happy because he is the Robin that actually started the Teen Titans in
Yeah.
the comics.
Okay.
There's like 5 or 6 Robins. I mean, I don't want to bore everyone by going through the history of
Right,
Robin, but
right.
And how they all eventually die.
yeah, everyone dies in Batman
spoilers.
comics.
I didn't know that.
I'm glad that they are.
Everyone's dead.
I'm glad they are using Robin, but I'm upset because they're also going to be trying to tell his story of becoming Nightwing through this series.
Okay.
Which comes in a lot later
Yeah,
in the Teen Titans story arc.
Yeah, it's like, I have a feeling they're probably going to try and do this in the first season, is tell his story, his move from being Robin to Nightwing. That's a terrible idea because you're trying to overload the
Well,
story.
wait, Nightwing's like so much more awesome than what Robin is because Nightwing's his own man that does what he wants.
And I would call complete and utter bullshit on that because Robin has always been an outstanding character and detective on his own without Batman.
Which is why I did all that in sarcastic
Well,
tone.
Well, I know. I'm just
I think it depends on the Robin.
No, it doesn't.
I do. I think it does. I think Dick Grayson is a Robin that came into his own. What's the second one?
Jason Todd.
Jason Todd. He just got bashed to death with a crowbar. Who cares?
Spoilers.
The world, the world voted for him to die.
Yeah.
So, and he comes back later. I guess is
when
one
the world
Red
votes
Hood.
for you to die.
So, but I'll give you Tim Drake. Absolutely fantastic detective. I love his story.
He's
Tim
actually,
Drake's like maybe my favorite of the Robins.
He should be because he's also a better detective than Batman is.
Okay, that's
Whoa, whoa.
Watch what you're saying there.
whoa.
He discovered Batman's secret identity.
Okay, well, so did Jonathan Blake.
Robin's
Because he looked into his eyes.
I saw the sadness in your eyes and I knew.
Dick
you're Batman.
Grayson's secret identity. Jason Todd's secret. He was able to suss out all of that at the age of like 13.
But anyway, so
Okay.
before we dive into Robin mythology, let's
Right, okay, yeah, right. Anyway,
give me
so,
who else is in the show.
okay, they're having Hawk and Dove in the team,
Okay.
which
Hawk and Dove.
Hawk and Dove. They were a team back in the 60s, 70s.
Okay.
Two brothers, Hank Hall and his brother. I don't remember.
We
who.
should have left them back in the 60s.
They were in the Teen Titans in the 70s. So I mean, that's not a like.
Is there any
What?
relation to Hawkman or
No,
Hawkgirl?
none
It's
at all.
just-
Hawk and Dove. But the thing is, they're using the newer Hawk and Dove team, which
So
is
Hawk, Dove, Robin.
yeah.
There's little birds on this
This is
team.
the bird.
Birds.
The flock here.
But the reason they're using Dawn Granger as Dove,
Okay.
which is the female version of the character, for a spunky romantic pairing. And
Right,
I'm using
'cause
like air
they
quotes
gotta
for that.
they gotta bring in some girls as they do.
I would've
Just
just
tell
made
me
up
the
some
next one on this
flamboyant
list
guy.
is Raven.
Gosh, I hope.
Raven. She actually is on the team in this.
So we've got four
right.
birds on the team.
Yeah.
Titans.
And then there's Starfire.
Yeah, Starfire is also going to be on the
Way
team.
to
Which,
break the freaking pattern.
so far, all of those characters have been in the Teen Titans roster at least once.
At least one. Okay.
So Raven, Starfire, and Robin, that's understandable.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the Teen Titans
Got
everyone
ya, yeah.
is used to. Hawk and Dove, I don't have a problem with that, but I would have preferred it be, Hawk and Dove, the two brothers, because there's more balance in that.
And you hate women.
No. But they're also including Barbara Gordon on the team,
Yeah.
Okay.
which she has never been on the Teen Titans.
Is she going to be the Oracle or the Batgirl?
That's neither.
What? What?
She's going to be Barbara Gordon, just hanging out.
Yeah.
She's going to be in a wheelchair,
What?
so it's supposedly after
No,
her
it's-
time as
It's
Batgirl.
post-Killing Joke.
Yeah,
Okay.
post Killing Joke. So she's in the wheelchair,
Okay.
but she's not Oracle.
Is there any hints so far that she might grow into
Probably a
Oracle?
slow burn or something.
If they do it, and it'll be.
They should
slow
reverse
burn.
the Nightwing thing into the slow burn, and just by end of season 1, she should be Oracle.
Then that's fine. But my issue, she has never been on the team. Why
Well, I
put
mean,
her?
she's always had a
Because-
relationship with
DC?
Yeah.
Dick Grayson.
Yeah, she's always had it. The relationship with Dick Grayson, sure, but I mean, she's
Maybe
not
they're
on the
gonna
team.
tie it into that really stupid Gotham show.
Gotham is a great show, and I will tell you why it is after the podcast.
Dumb show.
But I mean, there's so many other characters that they could have chosen instead, like Wonder Girl, Donna Troy,
yeah.
Kid Flash, Aqualad, the Red Arrow, Speedy,
Superdog.
Beast Boy,
Crypto.
Cyborg. Any of those would have been, more fitting choice.
Because Cyborg's part of the Justice League now.
I am slowly filling with.
Yeah, his property's owned by someone else. Sorry.
But
Booyah.
just like the casting just has me upset over that. I mean, why choose these characters when this team makes much more sense?
Well, that's all DC does nowadays. Is
Could it also be because it would be too close to what Cartoon Network did or is still technically doing?
well, that's fine. But again, Wonder Girl isn't on the cartoon.
Yeah.
Aqualad, he was had a 1 episode arc
Yeah.
That's such a lame name.
I would prefer it
Aquaman.
if they used all these same characters, but they were all played by women.
Okay, that's
So anyway, so you're not looking forward to this?
no.
Or-
I'm certainly looking forward
okay.
to it because TV is a great venue for comic book characters.
Mm-hmm.
It is. I mean, it's better than movies as a
Yeah.
venue, which can segue into
Right.
we're talking
Now,
about TV.
is Slade going to be involved in it?
No idea.
Okay.
I mean, if they do, then it'll be. I don't know how the rights work for TV with DC because I know
Slade.
Slade Wilson?
Slade Wilson,
And he also
Deathstroke.
does-
Deathstroke.
Suicide
Okay, why
Squad.
can't we just say Deathstroke? Why do we?
Well, he's
why do
referred
we
to
gotta-
in
Are we
the
on a first name basis
in the
with
cartoon.
Deathstroke?
He's often referred to as Slade.
Yeah.
They refer to him
Okay.
by his well, at least Dick Grayson does.
Oh, okay. Well,
Slade.
Slade to me is a '70s glam band, so
Oh,
I was
okay.
really confused.
Yeah.
Slade's going to be in it.
I was like, sick. Naughty
Already
Holder's
the
going to
theme
be
songs.
in
I don't know. Like I think Deathstroke is supposed to make an appearance in Arrow, or
Okay.
like he's
Yeah.
been on Arrow lately.
He has been on Arrow.
So I don't know if they're going to try and connect it to that because I don't know. Is TNT and CW under the same parent company?
I don't know.
it. Yeah, that's
a good
Warner
question.
Brothers.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah.
It's Warner
then,
Brothers.
So then it's entirely
TNT was bought
Yeah,
under the AOL
okay.
Time Warner merger that killed Monday Night Nitro.
That's right.
So then it's entirely possible that they could do like a crossover
Yeah.
event because they're doing that with the Flash
Mm-hmm.
and Arrow, and so I could definitely see them using that. The Teen Titans crossing over with
Yeah.
with it as well. So it's possible that Deathstroke will be in it. So far, that's the only information that I have.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know if anything else has been released in the last 2 days.
I know nothing about the Teen Titans, so I'm okay with all of it.
Cool.
When there's trouble, you know who to
Well, jumping from TNT and cable satellite, there's also Netflix has released a trailer for their first miniseries
For Marvel.
for Marvel, which is Daredevil. Now, Taryn, what did you think of the trailer that you saw?
I actually haven't seen
Okay,
it yet.
tell me what you think when you saw the
what?
trailer.
There wasn't a whole lot given away in the trailer, and I'm
Right.
okay with that because it was Daredevil wasn't even in his Daredevil costume.
Mm-hmm.
He was more in a makeshift ninja type costume that he wore in the comics before he.
Well, listen,
Got
not
this.
everyone's Bruce Wayne and can afford
Yeah.
their superhero costume right away.
Yeah, I know, and I really liked. I liked that. I liked the trailer. So yeah, but I have an issue with the series as a whole, just the way Netflix does things.
Just that they release it all at once.
Yeah, because I mean,
Oh, really? That's fine.
Yeah, it's like House of Cards and all the shows that they create, they release all at once so you can binge watch them.
Oh,
Yeah,
cool.
that's like day one. You
That's
have
just
the
taking
entire-
advantage of the people, like their market. They just
yeah,
they
I mean,
know that.
business-wise, sure, it's good because they know that the people that subscribe to Netflix are going to just sit there and watch the whole series in one go. But for a television audience, like that build up to the next episode is always what you're looking forward to, and having to wait an entire year for the next series to begin, then
That's true.
that's a really long wait. Like with BoJack Horseman, which I know Nick and Isaac
Yes.
and I love, but
Go watch
Excellent
BoJack Horseman.
cartoon, yeah.
but like we watched it in September when it came out, and we've had this withdrawals ever since, just because it's like, now what do we watch?
What's interesting from a business perspective? You could also argue that if they release things over like a 4-month period, it like locks you in for 4 months to subscribe.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
as
definitely
well. So, that's weird. I guess it could go either way.
But
I like that it showed what I believe to be Kingpin.
yeah.
That was my favorite part of the trailer. I
Yes.
was like, Kingpin!
Yeah. They only showed the back of his head, and it's played by the gentleman he's usually playing like the mobsters, like henchmen or whatever. I can't remember his name.
I'm just watching the trailer right now with the audio off.
It's interesting. Do you find anything? What do you feel separates it from like the Ben Affleck movie?
the lack of Ben Affleck.
Yeah.
Well, other than the lack of Ben Affleck,
And Kingpin's white.
right?
So, I mean, I think for me that's the only real change. I mean, I am a extreme minority in that I actually enjoyed the Ben Affleck Daredevil.
Yeah.
You would.
Oh, I mean, I watched the director's cut that had Coolio in it,
Okay.
and
It already makes it better.
yeah. It was. Like, Coolio's presence alone, like, immediately bumped it up in my list.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I ever sat all the way through Daredevil, but I remember thinking that Colin Farrell wasn't bad in it.
No. And that's the thing. Like, most of the performances weren't bad, except for Jennifer Garner's.
Elektra, and they made a movie about her.
Yeah. Like, even Ben Affleck's performance as Daredevil was pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he had the character down, and Matt Murdock, he had the character. It's just some of the directing and, some of the shots were kind of bad.
I remember
cheesy
a lot of the
music
shots being
from the
weird.
new metal era.
Yeah. The Evanescence songs.
It's okay. So Kingpin is being played by Vincent. I can't pronounce that last name. D'Onofrio or something like that.
Vincent D'Onofrio?
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, sick!
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I thought Kingpin was a Spider-Man villain.
Vincent D'Onofrio, the bad guy,
that-
alien from
Isaac,
Men in Black
I will
1.
slap you.
I don't know comic books.
Okay. He's been in Men in Black. He's been in Ed Wood.
He was Full Metal Jacket. He's
Full Metal Jacket.
He's a Gomer. I mean, the Gomer Pyle guy.
Yeah. So
And I know Daredevil's girlfriend in the series is
Rosario Dawson, or is
Rosario Dawson?
no? She's playing a different character. Rosario Dawson is playing. Wait for it. She's playing Claire Temple. I don't know what character that is, but
It's like Daredevil. It's like Matt Murdock's kind of
on
occasional
again.
Girlfriend.
Okay, gotcha.
But
Yeah,
his girlfriend in the series is being played by Deborah Ann Wall, who was Jessica in True Blood.
Is Bullseye in this?
Not yet.
Boo!
There's no sign of Bullseye yet. But anyway,
To answer Isaac's question, Kingpin is an occasional Spider-Man villain.
Okay, because that's
But
the
he's
first
also,
time I heard of
He's also
Kingpin.
Daredevil villain. He's
He's
the
in New York
kingpin.
City.
He's
So
the kingpin of
okay.
crime.
Yeah.
yeah, so
Oh.
Everyone that
Punisher
operates.
can run into everybody.
So
Everybody
everyone-
hangs out in
okay.
New York
these,
City.
the heroes that are being released on Netflix, they're more grounded heroes. They're not super powerful ones. I mean, you have like Luke Cage, who has an interesting thing where
unbreakable skin,
Right,
9
yeah.
vulnerability.
but Daredevil, I mean, his superpower is that his hearing is just amplified, ridiculously.
all of his senses.
Yeah.
Except for sight.
Mhm.
He's blind.
Right. But do you, just from watching
Spoilers.
the trailer, do you like Charlie Cox as Daredevil? For those of you that don't know who Charlie Cox is, he's been in Stardust, which was a movie that came out several years ago with Michelle Pfeiffer and Robert De Niro. It's a kind of fantasy movie. But
Also,
anyway.
one of the most underrated current WWE wrestlers.
Yeah. What?
Stardust, not
Yeah, yes.
not
yes.
the guy.
Corey is promoting his podcast, the podcast of 1004 Holds. But anyway.
I didn't really get to feel a whole lot of him in the trailer, like because it was a trailer.
He's a teaser for
Yeah.
the most part.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, I couldn't really feel out his actor or anything, his character.
But he automatically, he seems younger, but it's not like, oh my gosh, he's like a teenager. But he still has a sense of maturity about himself.
Yeah.
Just in the tidbits that we saw.
Yeah, I mean, I'm all for it. I mean, he looks. I mean, when he puts on the sunglasses, he looks like a blind lawyer. So sure, why not?
Isaac.
I don't know.
Isaac.
I don't know
again.
enough about this.
It's okay.
It looks pretty good.
We'll educate
I'm
you.
probably going to try to watch it.
Okay, cool. But that leads me into a conversation that I wanted to have concerning TV and movies. They, especially over the past, I would say, couple of years, at least 2 or 3 years, there's been a lot of crossing over, especially with like Marvel doing Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And then DC has gone kind of the other route. They kind of separate their shows. They're saying, yes, we have a TV Gotham
Universe.
and everything,
Yeah.
but it's not going to be the same as this universe.
Smallville was coming out at the same time the Nolan-verse Batmans were coming out, and neither one has any connection to the
Right.
other.
I mean, and it all kind of started, I mean, there was Lois and Clark from like the 90s, but there's also
Best Superman
Yeah,
ever.
Dean Cain is an amazing Superman, and just an amazing guy.
and then Smallville, which started, I believe, late 90s and continued on.
Like
or-
2001, I think,
Okay,
and
yeah.
then went to about 2010.
But now we're seeing this thing where we're crossing over and they're complementing one another, especially with Marvel. They've taken kind of the lead on that, especially with even the Netflix going on. And that's going to be leading up to the Defenders, apparently, I guess. I don't know if that's going to be a movie thing or if it's going to be some kind of Netflix event that they're going to do. There's really no information about that. I just know that all those heroes, correct, are part of that group, the Defenders.
Well, the heroes that Netflix is using, those are the heroes for hire.
Yeah.
Which I could definitely see that working out, because that's a great series in itself. But
Yeah.
as for the Defenders, I'd love to see Marvel do that in a serialized format, because Hulk, Silver Surfer, Namor, Doctor Strange, they're like some of the regulars on the Defenders team, and really, like, the Incredible Hulk, like, we know that the movie was a bit of a letdown, and Hulk was a letdown, but if you look back to the 70s, the Incredible Hulk series was a great show.
Yeah.
And that's because Hulk is much more suited for a television serialized audience, because it's this journey of the man, Bruce Banner, and is struggling with Hulk. You can't really convey that in a 2.5-hour movie.
Yeah.
But you can do that over a season of television. And so I could definitely see Mark Ruffalo's Hulk being used in a television idea, because his performance really needs to, they need to let it breathe.
Yeah.
They need to give him more room to really develop his character and performance. So Defenders would be an excellent thing for Netflix to try and sink its claws into for that.
And another one that I didn't mention earlier was Agent Carter. They've launched another, ABC has.
It's the sort of the season 2 hiatus replacement for Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
And it's just interesting how they've been doing this, but more or less, not even just talking about superhero movies in particular, but it seems like, especially maybe, I don't know if it's the last 10 years or even the last 5 years, but it seems like TV shows, especially dramas and stuff, have taken the place of those mid-tier movies where, okay, you want this gritty kind of story about a guy overcoming odds or rising up in the ranks or something, and then it's translated now to TV, and you have shows like Breaking Bad, or you have what's the show on that starred, I can't even think, but all the HBO shows especially have taken off. Deadwood and different things like that are more of a mature type of show, but the quality of the shows has just jumped. You know,
absolutely. I've always loved. I prefer TV over movies anyway, and because the quality and quantity is there. It's like I could spend, say, $40 in movie tickets, to see 4 movies.
Yeah.
Or I could spend $40 for, Netflix, Hulu, and, some other video stream services, and still get, like, endless hours of entertainment. And it is kind of a... there's a lot more quality in television programs.
Because, I think it might have started, there were a few shows in the 90s that kind of had this idea where you really, like, attached yourself to these characters in the world and stuff, and they became pop culture icons.
The X-Files.
X-Files is one I thought of as well. And that was kind of the start where it seemed like TV was starting to take itself a little more seriously in terms of putting money behind shows. You had shows in the 80s and the 70s and stuff, but they were very... you had stuff that was... It just looked like it was... campy and a little cheaply made. But there's classic shows, and that was an era where that was acceptable, like the Dukes of Hazzard type stuff, Quantum Leap, all different types of shows like that. But it seems like now, and even back then, it was like, okay, we'll just have these TV stars, and now they're pulling from movie stars. Bryan Cranston, come be in this show with us. House of Cards. Cranston kind of became he became a bigger star through TV, but even like Kevin Spacey for House of Cards, like, we're gonna pull you out of movies and you're gonna star in this, and even like shows on regular cable, like you have Martin Freeman and Billy Bob Thornton in the Fargo series. It's only a one-off, and then True Detective, which has Matthew McConaughey and it has
Woody
Harrelson, and that's a one-off season. And even shows like American Horror Story, even though they're doing a different thing where it's like we're using the same cast, but it's a different story each season.
I really like how they do that.
And it seems like we're just in this era of television that is they're creatively just saying whatever, do it, and they're not as regulated as movies are. Where it seems like it's like flipped a bit. Where back in the day, it's like we're gonna kind of churn out these cheesy, kind of over the top shows, and that are not so expensive, but we can keep making them, and we'll keep feeding the audience until we jump the shark, like they do with Happy Days, where they literally That's where the phrase
Yeah.
comes from. If you don't know, jumps the
Fonzie
shark.
jumped a literal shark.
When a show gets past its expiration date, they always do something stupid. Happy Days, Fonzie jumped a shark. That's where that comes from.
Yeah.
It just means your show's about to die.
Yeah, and now it's flipped to the movie universe where they just keep making shows and keep making movies and sequel after sequel
going
until we stop getting tired. I mean, Transformers. I mean, the first one was okay; it was enjoyable, and then after that, it just got bigger and bloated, and it was just like. By this one, we were at least all of us were like, I don't even care to go watch this.
Did any of us see the fourth one?
I didn't see the fourth one.
I didn't see the
I
first
thought the
four.
third one was kind of redeeming after the second one.
It was the highest grossing film of last year, and I think a lot of that just attributed to the fact that it's Transformers, it's robots, it's toys.
Well,
it's
also overseas sales, like
Right.
China.
And Mark Wahlberg.
And Mark Wahlberg.
Show some credit
You
here.
can't destroy Marky Mark. But
can't.
they did not. Dwayne Johnson actually turned down to be the starring lead in Transformers, the fourth one.
Well, he's already trying to save, the G.I. Joe.
You're right,
universe.
yeah.
He can't be the hero of both.
He is the Viagra for all movie franchises. But
Rock hard.
it appears that Isaac has to venture off to work.
I must
so
be
we
going.
will tell him any
Your priorities are out of whack.
any final thoughts, Isaac, as you're walking away.
No.
Okay.
No.
All right. We'll see you later.
All right. Bye.
Bye. But the idea is just that the quality has reversed, and a lot of the, you've got good big projects, like your Marvel series and stuff, but it seems like television has just taken the lead in terms of groundbreaking filmmaking and stuff like that.
Justified is one of my favorite shows, and it's consistently one of the best quality products on television. Breaking Bad was the greatest show I've ever seen.
Who's Justified? Is that Timothy Olyphant?
Yes.
He's a fantastic actor.
Yeah.
Period. So
Yeah.
I just want to throw that out there.
Yeah.
Did you like him as Hitman?
I didn't watch Hitman.
No,
I did see Hitman.
Yeah.
No, that just sucked.
I felt like he was just not right for that.
No, he
role.
wasn't right for the role.
No, but anyway, continue. I'm sorry.
But no, it's Justified, Breaking Bad, True Blood, Deadwood. Even go back to Twin Peaks in the early '90s.
Yeah.
X-Files. It's like television has slowly been taking over the market, just in like you said, in quality and quantity. And I think with Marvel trying to reach out with like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and DC doing like Lois and Clark, and then Smallville, and now Arrow, Gotham, and The Flash, Constantine. Soon to be the Teen Titans. It's like this is going to be an all-out war, for the audiences, because more people are going to see your product on TV than
Go down to the theater and pay once 3 years.
I think it's a weird evolution, just because we live in this day and age where, like back in the '90s, TGIF was sort of the biggest block of TV that there could possibly be.
Right,
and it's where we get a lot of our classic sitcoms from: A Full House, Step by Step, Family Matters, but now, like, we all live such busy lives, and we have access to this crazy thing called Hulu,
right,
where we can just watch these shows whenever we want. So the storytelling can be sort of a little bit different than what it was in the 90s. We're not having to make a single serving episode that you can watch out of any sort of continuity. You can start at the beginning of a season and have a whole storyline progress and have essentially a 24-hour movie by the end of a season.
And the thing about it is, like you said, like you had TGIF, and it was all centered around, okay, this is the time, this is when you'll watch it. We won't show it again for like the summer when we do reruns or something. Now it's like people can watch it on Netflix when it comes out the next year. They can watch it on Hulu the next day. They don't have to. It used to be that we had to set our schedules around television. Now we choose when we watch and what we want to watch. And then on top of that, there's also downloading. I mean, talking about illegal downloading, the one big show that we haven't talked about, Game of Thrones, is the most downloaded video the past several years.
Yeah,
and that's another one, and the one that really made me kind of think about this conversation, because somebody told me about Game of Thrones. It's like, you got to watch this. It's really cool, and I had an idea of what it was. It was like a fantasy type Lord of the Rings kind of world, and I was just like, I don't see how a TV show...
were you wrong.
Right. But in my head, I'm like, I don't see how a TV show has the budget, has the script writers to even make this worth my time. And then finally, over one Christmas break, I started watching and I didn't stop because the first episode just had me hooked because of the quality of the costumes, the filming, the sets. I mean, they did a lot of things so well, and immediately it was just like, okay, this is on another level, and you understand suddenly it's like TV is slowly taking over. It's taking over movies because. I mean, we went yesterday in the morning to watch SpongeBob, which you should go watch our drive back video about.
I'll put an annotation on the video.
But we went and watched it, and it's still me buying a ticket and buying a drink still cost me like $15 at least.
Yeah,
and which is ridiculous. And then you can buy a Netflix account or a Hulu account for $10 a piece.
A month,
and that's opposed to going to the movie theater a couple times, and you're already spending $20, $40 if you go by yourself or with a group that you don't have to pay for yourself or anybody
by
else.
the way, we're not getting Netflix or Hulu product placement.
No,
we're just
bullcrap. We're sponsored by them.
we want to be sponsored by them. Please,
yes.
We will give you.
We will whore ourselves out for any and all advertising products.
Nick, it's funny. I mean, you could also get Netflix, Hulu, both 10, 8, or I think Hulu's like $8.99.
They're both $8 about.
You can also subscribe to the WWE Network, which is only $9.99.
I subscribe to it.
Yeah, so
I subscribe to it,
and that's the thing. Like now,
I know 2 people that subscribe to it.
It's not only that TV shows are raising in quality, but the world of television is changing. We're going from you have to buy this cable company, you have to buy this satellite company to watch all these channels.
You have to buy this particular package to have access to this particular channel.
Because people are saying, you know what, we're done following the rules of the big TV shows like the 1 through 12 or whatever,
the big networks,
NBC, CBS, ABC, because they have put regulations on you now. FX now, AMC, and then even beyond that to HBO and Stars and things like that. But even now Netflix, everything is moving towards a streaming world where we make the rules, we say what we can film, we can push the edge where we want to push it. And that's why you can get shows like Game of Thrones, which are very violent, which have a lot of nudity and stuff. But the thing that keeps you in about that is like, yes, there's all that, but the story is so engrossing.
Yeah.
And everything else surrounding all of that is good. It's not just, something that you should watch on a Friday night at like 2 o'clock in the morning kind of thing. But it seems as though everything streams that. And I think the only thing that's holding the world of television back from going completely streaming is sports, because that's the thing. It's like if ESPN decided, you know what, we're gonna make our own streaming channel, and you can pay $10 a month to watch all this sports stuff.
That would be the death of TV.
It would be the death of cable and satellite. Nobody would care about that anymore. But what are you guys' thoughts? I mean, my big question is: do you feel like TV is at a better place right now in our current setting than movies are? Overall,
I think it's a little bit harder to I don't think you're going to get a clear cut winner because both are just radically different ways of telling these stories. Mm-hmm. It's interesting that you brought up torrenting, like how Game of Thrones is the most torrented series for the last few years,
right?
And it's one of those things like torrenting for me has actually gotten me to be more invested in the networks because a few years ago I watched Firefly on Netflix and I loved the series, and so I looked up its cast list and saw that Nathan Fillion was doing another show called Castle on ABC. It was already 3 seasons in, and I didn't want to have to I have to go buy these DVDs to catch up with where the series is now. So I just torrented it. I flat out pirated 3 seasons worth of Castle, and I ended up watching them over the course of a few weeks. And by the end of it, I decided I liked the show. I bought the first 3 seasons on DVD. I've watched it every week on ABC because of it. So torrenting has kind of allowed me to become. If it wasn't for torrenting, ABC would have one less viewer. Yeah,
and that's the thing. Shows that were on. I know Fox is notorious for killing shows. Within their first season. But there's also shows that, they had a couple seasons or maybe even 1 season and then they get canceled. But then they go over, hey, Netflix, let us make our show on you, or or to all the different types of streaming internet sites, and that's where new life is found for some of these shows that have a following.
Like Community.
Right.
Community is a good example of that. Like after the third or fourth season, it was canceled, but then it got brought back just by fan outcry. So it was brought back, and then after season 5, it was canceled, killed off for good.
Yeah.
But there's been such a strong fan following, fan community for community.
Yeah.
That they have this hashtag 6 seasons and a movie.
Right.
And they've been, saying we need 6 seasons of this. We're so close. That Yahoo actually bought up the rights and they are producing season 6, which is supposed to premiere like next month or something, or in May maybe. But it's like the fans of shows have more power than they realize. Like if everyone really wants a show to stay, it's going to come back in one way or another. And that's why, like, unfortunately, I can't stand some of the fan communities of these shows.
Yeah.
Like, some shows need to die.
Right.
Like Supernatural. I used to be a huge fan of Supernatural.
Like a month ago.
Corey has called you out.
No, it wasn't.
You and Tanner were like watching it like, what was like not long ago. I made fun of you then.
No, Tanner was like watching an older season, and I was like supporting it. I was like, yeah, it's a great show until like season 7.
I just remember y'all watching it. Like,
season 7 is
recently.
just a bad season of Supernatural.
No, I mean, it's just like they're starting season 10 or 11 soon, or like they're going to be.
They're in season 10. They've already greenlit season 11.
Yeah, and that's way too much.
I mean, aware we had 2 12-year-old girls on this podcast.
No, I'm most certainly not a 12-year-old girl because I want this show to die. I want it to die very much. Because
you wanted to die because the 12-year-old girl inside you that liked the show was like, I'm upset with the show now.
And grew up and got a training bra and has moved on.
No, because the quality of the show is going down. Like, sure, they're getting more money, so I mean, they're making a more grandiose show. But it's like you told a story that was a good story. Why keep going? And it jumped the shark. It did. Like whenever they killed off. They've killed every major character, but they brought it back.
Would you say it maybe was worse than jumping the shark? Would you say it nuked the fridge?
Oh, absolutely, it nuked the fridge.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, you kill this person off, you send them to hell. That's a good place to fucking end. No. He gets brought back by an angel. Okay, that's fine. Yeah, but it turns out his brother sold his soul. All right, well, I'm still with you. And then his brother dies because Satan takes over his body and battles Michael in some climactic battle. That was Armageddon. Good ending. All right, yeah, that's in there. No, his brother's still living, but without a soul. So an angel puts a soul in him, and now there's an angel living inside his body, and it's
needless to say, there's just a lot of.
Whenever you kill off both of the main characters, just to bring them back in some hackneyed, shitty way, why keep going? And that's why fan communities, they're good if they bring a show that's worth bringing back. But they're also absolutely horrible if they keep a show going that, frankly, should have ended.
Well, and I would argue, to an extent, as much as I love Community, it's also suffering a bit from its fan base. Because they're like, we're almost there. 6th season is a movie. But half the cast is gone. And it's just like, how do you continue? And, the creator left and they came back and some of the shows had better quality because of it, but sometimes, like you said, the fan base can be detrimental to the quality or success of the show when it could wrap up really nicely. I mean, like a show like Breaking Bad, which could have kept going.
Yeah.
But they decided, we're going to end it now, we're going to make it tight and compact and make it all consistent and quality-wise, because it could have gone and it could have just gotten ridiculous, like you said, kind of like most shows kind of do when they get too long.
Yeah, that's why, I mean, anything, whenever I was an avid comic book reader, I would give comic books, I'd say, all right, you have 3 issues to hook me. And if I'm not hooked, I'm not reading anymore.
Yeah.
With TV shows, I usually give them, 3 episodes.
Yeah.
And if I'm not hooked, I just don't watch it. And then it's just renewal. I constantly renew it. But I've seen consistently, after 6 seasons, that's when a show really tanks.
Yeah.
Like, almost every show I've ever watched that's lasted longer than that, after season 6 is when it goes downhill.
Well, speaking, we've talked a lot about, like, very drama and action-oriented stuff. The sitcom has kind of died out to an extent. I mean, there are still sitcoms, but not as popular. But one that lasted too long was How I Met Your Mother. and it gave us
How
an
I Met
ending.
Your Mother was not, it lasted too long. It was that the writers refused to deviate from the original plan.
Right. Because the show...
The show organically went somewhere else.
Yeah. And they were
But they stuck to their
because
guns.
they had this crazy... Because the show was built around a concept, and the concept... And they had the ending in mind. They said, oh, wouldn't it be cool if it was this? But, the show lasted, it was successful and continued, and they refused to let it evolve into what it should have been.
Well, no, it evolved to where it went, and then in 20 minutes, they undid 9 years of character development because they had a point B that they never let go of.
Yeah.
So they've had to do the alternate ending.
Which, I mean, it's the same kind of thing that you've seen in movies before. I mean, how many movies just do that? The ending, you're like, oh gosh, if only we could just wipe that ending from our memory. The rest of it was great.
Yeah.
But I think, I mean, do you, when I was talking about sitcoms, you said false, do you feel like they're dead, or do you feel like...
I think The Big Bang Theory is currently the biggest thing that happens on television.
That's true.
And it is a sitcom.
That's true, yeah.
It's Big Bang
False.
Theory. I don't watch a whole lot of TV. That's why I've been quiet this whole time. I think TV, in the argument you're having, is TV was just as much a part of the Dark Knight thing that movies undertook. After 2008, everything got dark and gritty.
Mm-hmm.
I think TV went the same way.
Yeah.
The Dark Knight just made the world gray and black, to a degree, and I think that happened for television. I think that's why you had AMC and FX and all these guys now we have Sons of Anarchy. Now we have Walking Dead and things like that, and you have these just really gritty HBO. They've never been bound to it because they're paid television, and stuff like that. So they've been able to make whatever they want for as long as they've wanted. But I think they follow trends real well. I think you see that with True Detective. But
and the thing, go ahead.
But with Big Bang Theory, I know that it's like, to my knowledge, a perfect storm of that they're successful and the actors are happy with where they're at. None of the actors are doing the thing where they're saying, well, now I want to move to film. They make their indie films during their off time. I know that. I know that the Simon Helberg, he just made some movie that's getting lots of critical praise. We'll Never Have Paris, I think is what it's called. The one that plays his wife in the movie, I forget her name.
I know who you're talking about, but I only know her character name.
Made a figure skating movie that's kind of a comedy. It's getting a lot of praise and stuff like that. And you have Jim Parsons, who's now doing lots of things.
Commercials and stuff.
Commercials. He's in some animated film coming out. But it just recently, and I mean, like, kind of when I think a lot of things, even in this day and age with TV, some people are arguing TV's dying because of streaming and the internet, stuff like that. They signed some contracts that we're going to do at least 4 more seasons, and you're not in an age where you do that anymore. Where you sign a movie to say, or a show to say, oh, we're going to go 4 more years at least. But you have these actors that are making bank. Jim Parsons is the guy who plays Sheldon Cooper. He's very avid and outspoken about, hey, if you got a job, keep it.
Yeah.
Top thing. That's his thing. He knows he's huge and he knows whatever, but he's like, this is steady work. And acting, you quit a job and you may not get hired ever again tomorrow, no matter how big you are, type thing.
Are there really 10 seasons of Big Bang Theory?
Yeah, and it's still going. And they don't have any intention to stop.
I remember that first start. I mean, that seems. I mean, it was eight or so years ago, but that's crazy that it's still going.
They're signing just years in advance. To my knowledge, they don't have an ending in sight because you have a bunch of actors that aren't really they're not falling victim to the Friends thing where Friends would have kept going, but you had too many of them saying, oh, we want to do movies now.
Right. And the thing that I've noticed, just in viewing all these different shows, whether I watch them or I don't watch them, Walking Dead, Game of Thrones, Big Bang Theory, Breaking Bad, True Detective, they've reached a point in pop culture where people dress up for them at Halloween, or they make parodies on College Humor and stuff like that.
People go to Comic-Con dressed as characters.
Yeah, and to a level that's almost matching, if not equal to or greater than, movies. We see just as many people, being Sheldon Cooper or being dressed up as some of the Game of Thrones characters or, Walking Dead fan base as we do Marvel fan base. It's at Comic-Con you'll see just as many Walking Dead fans and Game of Thrones fans as you will the Marvel universe and stuff like that.
Well, that's because I think there's just a lot of lapping over. People who like Game of Thrones, well, they're probably also Breaking Bad, or they'll also like Walking Dead. I mean, there's a lot of things in there that a lot of people enjoy.
It's kind of interesting that these particular medias, the Marvel universe, be it on film or TV, Walking Dead, Game of Thrones, these were all things that were a previous media of books or comic books.
Mm-hmm.
And they were all done in an episodic format. And I think Tommy made the point earlier that format is so well suited for these particular characters and these particular storylines, because it gives you the time to have that character development, but it gives you also, okay, here's your hour-long taste of it, wait a week. Or by the end of a storyline, wait another 3 months, and then you'll get your another fix of it, rather than these movies of, oh, here's your hour-and-a-half long movie. It's big, but you're going to wait 2 years for the next issue of it.
Yeah.
That's why I don't... There's not a whole lot of, movie characters that you can actually really latch on to. Like, what was the main character's name in Smokin' Aces? Exactly. No, doesn't matter.
Well,
but if there's
other reasons for that.
Well, no, that's just my example. I mean, it's like if there's a character that has an episodic, feeling to it, then that's a character that people attach to. Like Indiana Jones had 3 movies, but it was. Right. I know what it's.
Keep going.
There were 3 movies, and people really liked it because they were episodic. You didn't have to watch them in any order.
Yeah,
they weren't interconnected, but it was just the same character, and you liked the character. James Bond, they're not really interconnected, except for like the newest 3.
Daniel Craig's,
But I mean, people like the character.
Right.
I mean, it's any time that there's a character that's worth learning about, there needs to be time to develop who they are. And you do that in TV better than a movie. Yeah.
Like so many books, like the young adult book series are really popular right now. And it's surprising to me because this was going on even when we had the Harry Potter series going on. People that grew up reading the books, they were always like, oh, I wish they had more time to really delve into all the book stuff. And it's like, you can't do that for film. You can't have every aspect of it. But on TV shows like The Walking Dead comics, the Game of Thrones books, you're allowed more time. You're allowed more time to get all those side characters, or almost all of them, as much as you can.
And then on The Walking Dead, you kill them off immediately to stay with the same 4 people.
Exactly. But,
or in Game of Thrones.
TV, I don't think will ever die. Even it may eventually just be completely internet, streaming, and I don't think we're anywhere near that. Because I don't know what is Big Bang Theory come on.
It's
ABC
CBS.
or CBS. Yeah. CBS, they don't stream anything.
No,
they're not Netflix.
They're just now making their own streaming. Channel.
They're like HBO. They're not going to play ball with other people. They can do their own, type of thing. And you may even see that Netflix may die. Honestly, Netflix may have a short life because other people may go, why are we paying you to do it? Like, we can do our own streaming service, and stuff like that. Hulu may die, Honestly, all these places may just go, we're going to do our own streaming service.
Because what the channels, essentially, or the networks, could all decide, we're just going to make CBS streaming, we're going to make ABC streaming.
Because HBO does it. They do their own streaming thing, and stuff like that. They're not going to do
because they're about to go off on their own and be like, we're just having a streaming service.
Where you don't have to have your cable subscription of HBO to have HBO Go. You can just buy a separate HBO Go account.
Exactly. So, you have that stuff, and, again, I'm not a huge TV watcher. Like, I can't think of anything that I watch other than wrestling, on a weekly basis. I'll DVR Big Bang Theory and watch it when I can. Normally, I'll pick up those DVDs when they come out and watch them that way. How I Met Your Mother was the last show I got super into, but again, I didn't even use Netflix. I just bought the DVDs as they were coming out and stuff, because I don't even use Netflix that often. I pay for it.
The thing about Netflix is that yes, it has a lot of materials and older stuff, but if you want to watch, where Hulu wins is that you can watch the next stuff tomorrow.
Yeah.
Whereas Netflix, you have to wait until they release the
DVD. And you never know.
Yeah. And you never know.
Well, it's because the way I put it is like just using Supernatural again, because there's so much content of that one particular show. For Supernatural, you can watch season 1 through 9 right now on Netflix.
Yeah.
But you can watch season 10 as it comes out on Hulu.
Well, there's just so many contractual things that go into Netflix. Not even funny. Cartoon Network, I don't even know what their thing is with Netflix, because they'll have half their shows up, and they might only have one season of some show that's been over for 5 years.
And it's the same thing about Nickelodeon. It's like, we'll give you seasons 1 and 2, but you can't have 3 through 6.
Yeah, it's a weird thing.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I know Saturday I was on Netflix looking for something. I think it was like that Metallica movie, Through the Never, and Metalocalypse showed up. That show's been done and over for years.
Yeah.
And they only have one season. So I don't know where Cartoon Network's contract says we'll give you off season or what that. Maybe they're just saying, hey, we sell the DVD still, so we're just trying to get people. I don't know. I know that Cartoon Network, they now own King of the Hill. They syndicate King of the Hill, and for some reason they pulled that off Netflix. And that was like one of the. I remember like the internet almost broke that day because there was so much hate on it was like on my Google, like my Yahoo front page, like King of the Hill goes down and. It was like canceling. It was cancel the network
because it does. It just constantly adds stuff and takes away stuff.
Yeah, it's a month by month thing. There's actually websites dedicated to this is what goes off on February 15th.
So Netflix giveth, so it taketh away.
Yeah, it'll have a list. You have to watch this by the 15th, and it's going. But here's what's coming in. So it's constant. History Channel used to have a big thing with Netflix. It went down. Yeah. They took that off because it's just. Netflix wants X amount of dollars, or History Channel, or whoever owns History Channel wants X. I don't know. It's a weird thing. So I don't even know that Netflix will eventually kill as much as the internet eventually may. And there's all the networks deciding they're going to have their own.
I know this might lead off into a whole other tangent, but if we go the route of Netflix sort of fading out because all these other networks are creating their own streaming sites or channels or whatnot, eventually the smart thing to do would be one of these bigger companies buying Netflix and start buying up other companies, because people aren't going to, like, you might have a generation or two left that's still going to buy CBS, ABC, and NBC, but they're not going to buy those and then every other channel that's going to be in your normal cable subscription. Like, I'm not going to buy those 3 channels plus History Channel plus Discovery plus Cartoon Network plus, like, if you start doing those at $8 a pop, you're already paying way more than your cable subscription is. So we're in a really weird sort of whichever way this is going to go, it's going to either fall on its face or it's going to stay kind of where it is now.
Yeah.
Well, eventually this is going to be whether or not Viacom, Disney, and the other one, I forget who the other of the big 3.
Time Warner?
Time Warner decide to just do their own, because those 3 entities own everything.
Yeah.
Those 3 entities own like Hollywood and TV, like everything is under them. All TV is pretty much under those 3 umbrellas. So it just take those 3 to say we're doing our own streaming service.
True.
Literally, Viacom is going to do its own. AOL, Time Warner, or Disney. We're all just doing our own streaming services, and that would kill it all.
Yeah.
So, but at the same time, who knows? Maybe they're not interested. Maybe they want to keep TV alive. Who knows? I don't know who owns TV companies. Maybe these are the same. Maybe the same umbrellas own the people that make and sell TVs. Yeah. So they got
Ted Turner actually owns everything.
Ted Turner doesn't own crap anymore. He lost all that out with the AOL Time Warner thing. That's what killed Nitro. Remember? But
you can learn all about this on the WWE Network, which is only $9.99
in the WWE's revisionist history. TV, I think, will always evolve. I do think you have your cool, like, the one-off show is now becoming a big thing, like the Fargo and the True Detective. I think the True Detective is going to continue, but it'll be one
different group.
American Horror Story.
Yeah,
I don't know what that is, but I know every season, different cast, different story. They're unrelated.
Same cast, different story.
Oh, same cast, but unrelated to anything else.
Right.
There's a little bit of talk that eventually the storylines are going to have connections, but it's not going to be like, like the season 10 story arc is going to be in between seasons 1 and 2. It's like there's just going to be like they're in the same universe, but none of the stories are the same story.
But I think it'll continue to evolve. You can look at TV versus 20 years ago versus TV now. Yeah. You can look at the shows like I like, and Cheers, Full House, Frasier, things like that. Back then, it was just there was certain story arcs. You might have a 3-episode arc, but for the most part, there was no like point B. Like, we need the show has to end here with this kind of closure.
Yeah.
A lot of those things. Full House never got a last episode. No. There is no.
final.
DJ goes off to college. No, nothing. I mean, there was no. I think the last episode is when Michelle loses her memory to she gets her off a horse. It's a two-parter, but
a TV show back then was lucky to have a final episode, to know that episode was coming, so they could kind of wrap things up.
Because they were going to continue Full House, but John Stamos didn't want to move to, I think, WB or something like that. They were going to go to a smaller network, so they all just kind of moved on.
This kind of just made me realize TV 10 years ago, 20 years ago versus TV now is a completely different field of shows. You don't have any sort of crossover except for The Simpsons. The Simpsons is like the one constant throughout all of it. We're getting the same movies that we got 20 years ago.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, they're re-releasing not only just the same storyline, but the same actual movie, just with different actors.
Mm-hmm.
It's the exact opposite of what American Horror Story does. It's TV's giving you different stories with the same actors. Movies are giving you same story, different actors.
Yeah, and I feel, and I think that's the main point, I guess, that I picked up in our conversation, is just that TV is a place where creativity really thrives.
Yeah, I think
movies is a place where creativity just kind of goes to die, and I think that's what draws in a lot of movie stars to come here, because they're tired of, if you're not a superhero, you're struggling to make anything that's worth watching.
Well, it's like he said, it's just two different platforms, in that one's hours upon hours upon hours of entertainment that you have to keep people invested in for hundreds of hours, whereas the other one's like, we're going to make this hour and a half to 2 hour thing, we got to make that good and promote that, but
and then maybe
they don't have to try near as hard.
Yeah.
Once they bought the ticket and they're in, it's over. They got your
Money.
$8.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. If we lose interest in a show on season 5, season 6 ain't coming, type thing. It's just so they have to. I think creativity has to be challenged and has to completely come to the top in television. Whereas in movies, they can get away with like Man of Stealing it, making a great campaign, and then not delivering the movie they advertised.
Yeah.
So,
do you have any thoughts? So. I thought you were going to say something. Sorry.
Oh, well, I mean, no, like anything that I would say would just rope back in, comic book movies, but I don't.
I think TV will always evolve.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think you can look at professional wrestling. It's Monday Night Raw's been on since '93, but it's evolved. It's gone through. It's just gone with the times.
Mm-hmm. And I feel like what my hope is that the popularity of shows now, where they're being creative, they're pushing edges and stuff, will transfer over into movies at some point, because eventually, and it's a lot like music, right now music is at this very bland kind of same stuff, repetitive kind of thing. Especially
everything's a mashup.
Yeah, and it's like pop is specifically what I'm talking about. What is popular to people in the top 40?
Catchy Taylor Swift songs or catchy Katy Perry songs,
or just ass shaking songs. So that's pretty much
that was all of 2014.
Yeah, 2014 was the year of the ass, and then country music was also kind of about partying and driving. All of them were the same. There's a YouTube video making fun of it, but I think there's going to hopefully come to a point where people are going to get tired of that same shtick that they've been dealing with, and say, I'm tired of this. Give me something new. Give me something refreshing. And that's why some people are starting to turn towards television. And I think eventually that will have the same effect on movies, because then we'll see more creative stuff going on. So,
either that, or movies are just going to become completely irrelevant, and us by proxy.
Well, I don't know if that'll be true. And I mean, I'll go wrestling guy again and say, it's the same world we're listening to as wrestling fans.
Yeah.
We hate Raw. We hate the era of PG. We hate the era of John Cena. And we wish it would change. But we keep going back and watching it every week.
Right.
Yeah.
Therefore, it won't change. Thing is I still think the Fast and Furious movies are a lowest common denominator type movie.
Yeah.
I think they're ridiculous.
But people still go watch them.
They're the stupidest highest grossing
and it's
films.
the same thing with Transformers.
Yeah. As long as people are going to go watch it,
there has to be a major change of just a collective mindset.
See, I guess I'm the minority. I don't want things to change.
Okay.
I'm okay with how they are, because like with TV, continuing to evolve into this, very creative, very serialized, character driven stuff. That's perfectly fine. If I want to go see a movie, then I want it to be an enclosed entity.
Yeah.
It's like I'm a huge fan of comic books and comic book movies and comic book TV shows, but I'm getting sick of Marvel's cinematic universe.
Yeah.
Just because of I have to watch Thor 1 and 2, Iron Man 1 through 3, The Incredible Hulk, The Avengers,
Captain America.
Captain America 1 and 2, and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. before I can really fully grasp what's going on in the second movie.
Iron Man was like the only Phase 1 film I watched.
Yeah. See, I'd be much happier with TV shows or movies taking a step back and going more to a
one-off.
Yeah, a basic, mindset. Like with The November Man, for example. You go in, there's nothing before, and they only recently said, we're going to make a second one, but it's a one-off movie. You don't need to know anything about the character because, A, you're not given any information, but the movie drives itself.
Yeah.
John Wick, you go in, the character drives the story.
Yeah.
But that's getting a sequel as well. But my point is, movies need to be able to stand on their own.
Be
as
self-contained.
A story, self-contained.
Yeah.
And so I don't want, movies to...
And that's not really my thing is I don't want everybody to suddenly copy the cinematic universe. My hope is that it will challenge shows and stuff to be just the quality to raise. I mean, it's hard to tell Michael Bay to make a good Transformers movie because that's what sells right now.
I don't see the quality dipping in movies.
Yeah,
I don't see that because you can look back to the 1990s. There were those mindless movies that we've all since forgotten. Yeah. But they were there. They were big. They brought in the money.
Yeah.
Like look at Titanic. It's an artsy fartsy movie. It made all of the money, but it's not something that we rewatch frequently. No, we rewatch.
You
Jurassic
speak for yourself, sir.
Taryn is a big enthusiast of Titanic.
I'm not saying
I will
Titanic,
not go on that tangent. Just
but anyway,
I'm not saying Titanic is bad.
Right.
But I'm saying that
there are some movies that the people our age back then were sitting there going, "Oh gosh, they're making another one of these," or does anybody even want to watch that? And now they're gone, and nobody remembers them.
Yeah,
but they remember Silence of the Lambs. They remember Jurassic Park. They remember
these
Armageddon.
Kind of one-off stories.
Yeah.
There's 2 sequels to Jurassic Park, but you can watch the first one, and it's
what's kind of funny is that Titanic is a one-off movie,
right? And people, and I would argue with Taryn that people do remember Titanic, but
that's not what that's not the point I was making with Titanic. I'm saying there are movies that you forget, and there's movies like Titanic that are these big blockbuster, high-budget movies. Like current day Michael Bay movies.
Yeah.
I mean
Titanic 2, we're bringing the ship back.
Well, I think you have to have the dirt to appreciate the gold.
Yeah.
Essentially.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and I think that's what makes and I'll plug it because we plugged it every single podcast so far. Cloverfield.
Yeah.
Is a great film because
I'm
it
okay
was
with
just
this plug.
It was just a piece of gold in a summer of just the same old crap.
Yeah.
It was refreshing. And it sucks because that's the machine. J.J. Abrams for a few years was like the guy that was going to save Hollywood, but now he's become Hollywood. He's making
out.
Star Wars and he's making Star Trek and he's just making a bunch of franchise, and all of us really wish he'd go back to making these really creative movies.
Yeah.
But I don't know, I think that's just part of
the way it
It's
works.
just, you're always going to have this machine of just your franchises and your crap, and no franchise will ever end perfect because that's the nature of the beast.
It's about money.
It has to peter out before you kill it. So it's the horror movie franchise is what it is. You have to have your Freddy's Deads and your Jason Goes to Hell's. The movies we don't acknowledge as canon have to happen to kill it. Has to kill it.
Season of the Witch.
That would have been a great movie on its own. I'll say that. That would have been a great movie if it wasn't associated with that universe.
What Season of the Witch?
It's Halloween 3. It's the third Halloween.
Okay.
The first 2 are all about Michael Myers.
Yeah.
Third one, nothing to do with Michael Myers.
Absolutely nothing.
0.
Interesting.
I don't even think it mentions him.
That's stupid.
It's Halloween 3, Season of Witch. It's about the mask company that may have made his mask, but it was
but
it was like a big company killing kids through masks. I don't know. I saw it twice. It's just
Sometimes
weird.
I wonder
It's
just
really weird.
how.
But that was Jason Goes to Hell.
Yeah.
It was Friday the 13th, 9? No Jason. Jason's in it at the end. That's it. The rest of it, he's just he's possessing people. So it's you took what made the movie out of the movie.
Let's make a Jason movie with no Jason.
Or
essentially is what it is.
Or you go the other route like Nightmare on Elm Street did and just make Freddy Krueger this ridiculous, like he's doing like Wizard of Oz spoofs as he's killing people.
Oh, yeah,
just like,
yeah.
Like I don't care anymore.
He became an icon, but that's the thing is you eventually get to Freddy's dead, and it was so ridiculous.
Interesting.
He was out at that point. He had a daughter. You know, they jumped the shark or nuked the fridge. They gave him a daughter that you'd never heard of. Nothing through all this. So I mean, that's going to be every franchise. You know, Transformers will now get into like what the Beast Wars stuff, like or the Dinobots, and they're just going to keep running to the ground.
Power
until
Rangers is about to take off again.
Oh my gosh, that's going to be good though.
if anything was made for a Michael Bay film,
it's
Power Rangers.
Like I'm pro that. But if for some reason he can't do it, like I hope Guillermo del Toro throws his hat in. Like I hope Guillermo del Toro's like, I'll do Power Rangers. Oh, that would be so good. Oh, I'd be so down. Even if they made 9 of them.
So, let's wrap this up.
Would the footage still be from Japan?
Yes.
Okay.
It has to be
All
stock
right.
footage from Japan.
Kaiju, Pacific Rim is actually a prequel to the Power Rangers movie.
Yeah, exactly.
So, let's wrap this up real quick. Are there any final thoughts just about the TV versus movie kind of conversation we've been having?
I just think they're two different entities, and they always will be, and one will excel in certain places, and where the other one falters.
Mm-hmm.
I honestly think superhero stuff is made better by television, because it's hundreds of years of history, and they can tell it better over seasons and stuff like that. The only way that it's ever captured well is if you want to essentially do one-offs in film. Honestly, I consider the Burton Batman's its own thing. I consider the Schumacher Batman's its own thing. The Nolan Batman's its own thing. I think that works if you want to out the gate say, I'm just going to make a trilogy of Batman films, and it's just going to be over a certain part of his comic career, or I'm just going to take certain parts of his comic lineage and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Rather than just saying this is a Batman continuation or something like that. Whereas I think as Walking Dead's proved, it's good to take a comic thing and just put it in seasons and stretch it out.
Yeah.
I know eventually they want to make The Preacher a series, and that would be best made into a series.
Yeah.
I think things like that. I think unless you're Marvel and you like have the 20-year plan,
right,
it's not going to work as well.
Yeah.
So
that's what I was going to say was TV and movies are always going to be two separate things, and superheroes are better adapt for television, like going back to the Incredible Hulk series and the Batman series, going to Lois and Clark, Smallville, even like right now we have Arrow, we have The Flash, Constantine, Gotham, soon to be Teen Titans. DC's taking over television. Yeah. And I just hope they stomp the shit out of Marvel, because Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is...
I never watched it.
I'm not going to say it's bad, but I'm saying I don't enjoy it.
Okay.
I do not
There's
enjoy
about
it.
to be a fight. I could see it in Darren's eyes.
And you can even look at I know that I've plugged recently that they're about to reboot a bunch of Stephen King things, and they've even started. They remade Carrie and things like that, which that works. But things like It and The Stand, which are both owned by some studio right now, and they're saying we're going to make 2 trilogies out of both of them or something like that.
It would be better.
It might be better as a series, like TV series, because back in the 90s, TV wasn't where it is, but now FX or AMC, they can make a gritty. They're allowed to press to experience some darker themes than they would have, back, because those are both miniseries from in the 90s. The It one's actually good.
But even the networks are allowed to go a little bit darker than
That's what I'm saying.
They absolutely could. Like, look at Hannibal. It's on network television, and it's one of the goriest TV shows on TV.
Under the Dome is a Stephen King property, and I know that that's done well, as far as I can tell. So,
even just speaking of Stephen King and crossover stuff, The Last Tower, is that the name of the
Dark
series?
Tower
The Dark
series?
Tower, yeah. They had that idea to make movies, but also to make shows
Ron
in
Howard
between.
wanted to. He had the weirdest. He had a
Which
Marvel type
really-
vision for it.
Which
where he had
maybe now he's going, look guys, it's
I
working.
can make a movie out of the first one, then some of
So-
the smaller books, make a series, then hit the next big book. It could work. I mean, it'd be ambitious.
Definitely,
you'd have to find a studio.
You'd have to get Disney to buy Stephen King stuff.
Yeah.
That's not going to happen.
Well, Disney does have there's a lot of Disney movies that come out, just not under the Disney name.
Yeah.
Like Disney owns side companies to do
They
the
own
darker
tons
stuff.
of stuff.
Yeah.
You could throw it under whatever Nephilim
Miramax or
thing
whatever.
that
Is
Johnny
Miramax still
Depp
going?
owns.
Yeah.
He owns a production company that now Disney partners with. So.
Taryn, do you have any final thoughts?
I think it's all sort of been said before. I think the one sort of instance where movies and TV, have worked together, which would be the Marvel Cinematic Universe, is kind of, in my opinion, done well. I know Tommy doesn't enjoy Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but I think just the tie-in between those universes is the one instance of, hey, these two can work together.
Mm-hmm.
But I think for the most part, yeah, they are two different types of storytelling, and they kind of need to stay two different types of storytelling just because people enjoy different types of stories in different ways of those stories being told.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, to end it though, favorite TV series ever?
Ever?
Or just your opinion of absolutely great TV series.
Twin Peaks.
Pass.
This needs to be his whole other episode.
Yeah.
No, I mean, it's just they're fun questions. What are they?
Oh no, this is a loaded
It doesn't have to
question.
be your favorite. It could just be like, what's a great TV series?
I mean, right now,
where they did it right.
Right now, I mean, I would say the one that I'm hooked on is Game of Thrones. I feel like they've just
I'm
it's
still
just
trying,
excellent.
Nick. I'm still
But,
trying.
you
I'll
know,
like watch 2 episodes and I don't for 6
Listen,
months.
it convinced you that Tyrion is an
Oh
excellent.
yeah, it sold me on Peter Dinklage.
Yeah.
But
It's a cop-out answer, but honestly, Firefly.
Boo.
It's, I mean, 14 episodes, and it still has such a strong fan base. That show was doing so much right, and the only thing that got it canceled was that it was on the wrong network.
I guess Whedon is still not completely sold out.
It's
He
true.
isn't completely.
He did make
hammered still.
Avengers, but he does other stuff too.
Yeah.
Okay.
What about you?
I'd say Cheers.
Okay.
It's
Okay.
the greatest television show ever.
Cheers is awesome.
And then you also had it go into Frasier. I don't think most people know that Frasier and
Yeah,
Cheers
I
is
know, I
the
know that.
same universe,
Yeah.
in that Kelsey Grammer played one character for 20 years.
Right.
Yeah, and that Kelsey Grammer's character in Frasier and Cheers is actually a secret agent. And
Okay, I didn't know
Gosh.
that now.
No, this plays into the Expendables 3. He's actually Frasier. in
Oh,
that.
okay, that'd be awesome.
Yeah,
I'd buy into that.
Trust me, I'm writing like an entire series of fan fiction to take place in between Frasier and Expendables.
Tommy, is Beast and X-Men still part of this theory?
No, not at all.
Okay.
Okay, good.
All right.
All right, moving on.
Anyway, so that wraps it up for us today.
Oh, are we done?
I-
Was that it? Was
Is
the
that-
TV thing? I thought there was more.
That's
That was the whole thing?
Is there something else you want to talk
No,
about?
I just thought there was more. For some reason, I thought the TV was like number 2 out of 3.
we covered a lot.
Oh, okay.
I mean, we just kind of like blah 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 on this thing, blah blah blah, and then TV.
Oh.
This was a
How
TV centric
disappointing, 'cause
episode.
The last Kevin
Oh.
James segue was like an hour ago.
We'll put one more up right here, just,
Oh, man.
just for.
Okay. What do you guys think about the Red Ranger stabbing his roommate with a sword?
Did that happen?
Yeah, did you guys hear about that news story?
What?
No.
Yeah,
Which Red Ranger?
The Wild Force Red Ranger.
Oh, who cares?
Ricardo
Oh.
Medina Jr. stabbed his roommate
Well,
with
what-
a sword.
Yeah, if it's not
And killed
Jason,
him.
I don't care.
Yeah.
Killed him.
Well, what's his name is more relevant than
It's
that.
not
that-
Austin St. John. Like, who cares?
Wait,
Yeah.
Jason David Frank?
No.
That's the Green Ranger.
Who
He also was the Red Ranger.
who had sex with
Oh.
his wife on camera?
Oh, Randy Quaid.
Randy Quaid.
Quaid.
That's more
Meltdown.
relevant. Yeah.
That's not more relevant. The Red Ranger killing his roommate. That's
Well, Screech
But it's-
killed a guy recently.
Yeah.
and that's why he wasn't
really
on
kill a
Jimmy
guy?
So,
Fallon.
oh, he stabbed a dude in a parking lot. I don't know if he died.
And he didn't make the Saved by the Bell reunion with Fallon.
Well,
so.
because he's currently, I think, in jail.
Yeah.
Or,
Well,
like,
he wouldn't probably do it anyway. if
or
he-
attesting it. They
Yeah.
probably didn't want him there.
They also didn't have Lisa on there either.
Oh,
so-
can I point out one thing?
Okay.
Marvel is doing Ant-Man.
Right,
Hank,
yeah.
Hank Pym.
Mm-hmm.
He was a alcoholic wife beater in the comics.
Got it.
So they're making a movie about him, and on Arrow they're going to have Brandon Routh star as the Atom, which is he's kind of well.
Esque.
I could like go into like details about how they're
yeah.
different, but yeah, he shrinks down in size. I want to see DC change things up, and instead of doing the Atom, doing Apache Chief. Okay, a Nukchuk. He grows in size rather than shrink down.
I don't know. There's a whole population of people that are going to be like, no.
I'm a member of that population, and I am 100% behind that
Yeah,
idea.
and you're one of the few that I actually hear being pro this type of thing.
A Nukchuk, Apache Chief was a great.
Does the
hero.
Washington Redskins offend you?
Yes.
Okay.
No, I mean like having an Apache Chief TV show would be awesome.
Okay, I read recently though, just while we're on like random things we read, that
The Left Shark.
No, what is this? What's the movie I hate that's coming? Batman versus Superman, or Superman versus Batman. There's actually some speculation that Zod's body gets stolen by Luthor, and eventually somehow becomes because he wants to study Kryptonian, and that somehow they turn him into Doomsday.
Okay,
that would upset me.
I don't hate it, actually. I would be okay with it.
But how?
Doomsday
I don't know.
is supposed to be something else.
Doomsday, you can't cover his history in a movie.
Yeah.
It would be its own movie. It's just going around to planets killing everything.
Which would be another origin story, essentially.
Yeah, I would much rather just retcon it to where Zod somehow becomes Doomsday.
Speaking of origin stories and superheroes, the head producer of Sony stepped down this week.
Yes.
And so there might be more opportunities for them to renegotiate and see if Spider-Man can sneak into the Marvel universe.
Now, see, out of all of the Marvel superheroes, Spider-Man is actually the only one that I really, really care about.
Right, yeah.
I actually want Sony to sell Spider-Man to Warner Brothers.
Okay.
And have Warner Brothers put him in Superman, Batman.
Oh, God.
Oh, that'd be sick.
I would go watch that.
Oh, that'd be like the Monday Night Wars. Like Spider-Man jumped.
I would go watch that.
What would Marvel do? Like the comics and stuff, because they
think
killed
Marvel-
off Fantastic Four, and they're killing off they're not making more of certain comics.
I'm pretty sure Marvel sells out their entities like with the option to buy back first. I'm pretty sure they try to prevent
because that could be like Hulk Hogan going over the WCW. It's like here's your star guy, but the other team's got him now.
No, Spider-Man would be like the Lex Luger. Everyone's like, "Whoa, what's he doing on this?
Yeah.
What's going on?
Yeah, like,
why is he wrestling?"
We'd all be in Batman vs Superman. Spider-Man swings on.
And we're like,
What?
This is what?
Especially if there was a heel turn in there and Spider-Man stabbed Batman or something, and then stood by Luthor, and then you're like, oh my gosh, this is great. I'd be all for it, even though it has nothing to do with comics.
And now we've dived into the fanboy world.
That's how we end all.
That's
the new podcast.
Okay.
We're fanboying out. We're fantasy booking.
Me
here.
constantly trying to keep you guys from dragging me down into fandom.
Where does Stone Cold fit in?
Stone Cold is playing Spider-Man. We're keeping that idea.
So we're doing the unmasking.
Okay.
Now we're doing it
And
in
he's
DC's
Luthor.
universe.
Oh! Stone Cold is Luthor, yes.
You would have been a great Luthor.
Anyway.
He stuns Jesse Eisenberg and takes over the company.
Oh, God.
Oh my gosh.
Changes his name.
We're gonna say,
What if Lex Luthor was Lex Luger?
Oh my... What?
anyway,
Yeah,
thanks for tuning in, guys. We'll catch you next week. Make sure to listen to the podcast of 1004 Holds if you like wrestling. Make sure to watch some of the new drive backs that we're going to start doing more recently. We just did SpongeBob, so you can go check out that. And then we've got some other ideas that are coming along the way. Plus, we're going to be releasing Take 5 the Movie in episodic format, hopefully by the end of February. So be looking out for that. So we'll catch you guys next time. See you later.